Welcome to the fold. An appropriate random jump for this particular unit. This is the Topping X Shenzhen Audio EX5, and I sat down to review it, and Shenzhen's like, hey, can you get that done eventually? I'm like, yeah. And then I realized it's a DAC amp combo. Like, I knew it was a DAC amp combo, but I sat down with it. I'm like, usually I sit down at this desk and I have a DAC, like the Saber 3, and it feeds whatever amp I'm reviewing. Or I'm going to review a DAC, I need to pull out an amp to review. But this is a combo, and I'm like, I've done a million combos. I could recommend... There aren't that many combos. It used to be all combos. Because that's when you're starting out in the audiophile game, or you want to get into audio. Fuck audiophilia, just audio. You want to start basic and simple. You want to get a box that you plug in with your computer, either USB or fiber optic or something, and then just power my headphones and maybe have a line out for other things. Just one-stop shop. And I sat down and I'm like, well, okay, I know I recommend the IFI Zen DAC. This is the V2. Only USB in, but has balanced out if you use an adapter that's expensive, has fixed variable RCA, and balanced out in front and 1/4 inch out in front. This is probably, besides going into things like the BTR5 and things that are like dongle DACs or things like the X Duo Basic here, besides those things, this is probably the cheapest DAC amp combo I recommend, and one of the best. I love the true bass features. I love the fact that it's got power match, which is basically high and low gain. It's built really well. But above this combo, because this is like $150 now, above this, you were basically stuck with going straight up to the JDS Labs Element 2, which is, again, USB in only. And I think that, yeah, it was USB in only, and you had line outs, and you had a only 1/4 inch output, and beautiful box with a big ass knob. And then that was a huge jump in cost, because this is $400. So you had $150, used to be $130, now $150. Then you jump up to $400. And then above this, there's other combos. I've got the IFI Neo IDSD, which used to be on my desk for like 15 reviews, because I just love that fucking thing. And that's got all the inputs. It's got fiber optic, it's got USB, it's got Bluetooth, it's got all the inputs you want. And it has balanced output in the front, balanced output in the back. It's a beautiful piece. And then opposing it on that speaker is the Dayart Aquila 2, which is another like $700. They're both like $700. And that one's a big honking great fucking unit that is also a DAC and, you know, inputs and outputs. So these are like the 4 main desktop units that I recommend. And welcome to the fold, EX5, which is obviously a pairing between Topping and Shenzhen. You might remember this box, because it looks remarkably like this box, which is the D30 Pro, which has an amp, the A30 Pro, and it becomes a stack, which makes it not a combo. I mean, it's a kind of a combo if you glued them together, but they're still 2 separate units, and they cost way more than this. This is only $350 currently. So it's a little bit less money than the JDS Labs, but it gives you balanced outputs and fiber optic and Bluetooth and lots more features that you usually find on the $700 ones or on this one. And it has more features than the IFI. And sitting here with the headphone list, Zeos, get ready to write this down for the Gold Planar GL2000s, because I spent way too much time up in my office and it's time to listen to them. The Grado Hemps, complete with the shippable headband, which I'll also link. Zeos, shippable headband link, because it makes the things actually tolerable. I've got the Dunu Zens out. We're going to listen to this thing's noise floor together, because I haven't done it yet, and it's just sort of like part of the process of reviewing an amplifier. I usually just pop the Zens on it and go, do I hear noise? Yes. And then I'm done. The Poseidons, whip those out, because fuck you, why not? And then the AKG K361 wireds, because I just did the Bluetooth version, and these are still sitting on my desk, and I'm, you know what? Give those a listen. So the unit actually has a lot of features. I mean, honestly, looking at the JDS Labs in comparison to the IFI Zen 2, you're like, why am I spending this money? The IFI does so much more. But you're getting that because the single end performance of the Element 2 is pretty fucking stellar. Power output. I'm going to tell you the power output of this because I know this and I don't remember those. You can look those up on your own. You have the internet, goddammit. 1.3 watts per channel at the 32. That's not bad. Interestingly, and this kind of threw me for a loop, quarter-inch output is 1.3 watts per channel, and so is the balanced. And I'm like, well, isn't that just a sign that they're not actually a balanced unit and they're just giving us the convenience of having a 4-pin XLR? Because if you go to the specs page, by the way, nice wallpaper available in the description, go to specs and holy fuck, there's a wall of goddamn words. Yeah, I get it. Go away. There's a wall of words and numbers. The specs for the actual headphone amplifier section is all this. Every single fucking line matches, except when you get up to the THD plus noise. That's when you can see that the... Actually, wait a second. That's noisier. That's noisier. That's way noisier. I mean, we're talking about like 0.00015% to now 0.0004, which is like 3 times more noise. But the XLR is actually noisier for all of these. The 6.35 millimeter or quarter-inch jack is actually less. But those numbers are different. And if we believe those numbers are different, then we believe that this is an actually true balanced amplifier because every other line is exactly the same. The channel crosstalk is 11 decibels less on the balanced. I don't want to get into a rant on how balanced may or may not be important for you because I think it's important for me because if I can balance a fucking headphone, I do. But like the Grado Hems are still one of my favorite headphones of all time, and they still have this stupid connector on it. This stupid 1950s stupid fuck. It's still fine. It's still fine. I'd like to hear them balanced, but usually the reason you go balanced is to lower the crosstalk. So because it's using a common ground. This is the negative terminal on both drivers, and then these are the positive terminals on either driver. So it separates these, but it combines these. And the whole point of balance is it now has grounds individually for each driver, so individual driver boards. So it's just more further apart. Very basics of how balance works on a headphone. But when you get to like 2021 levels of cleanliness, where you're talking about total harmonic distortion that has, 3 or 4 zeros after decimal place, the crosstalk and the fucking distortion you're lowering by going balance is sort of not as important. More power would be nice, but this unit in particular is just weird and doesn't have any more power via the balanced out. I'm going to keep listening to these for a second. Hold on, because I lowered it down a lot. Oh, I'll give you a tour of the unit. Normal power cord. Master power switch back here. You don't have to turn it on and off from here because this is not a shit product. You can simply hold down this front thing and then it's off. Can we give this every company that gives you an on-off button in the front? Here it goes. It doesn't indicate when it's coming on, so you got to have some faith in it. But can we give them all a Nobel Prize? Thank you. But you can hard off it here if you want to completely cut power to the unit. Bluetooth antenna, USB plug, fiber optic, which I am currently using off of the Pi Hat down there. The, what were you called? Yes, Pi Hat. It's definitely Pi Hat. Coaxial digital input. Then you have outputs. You have RCA output and XLR output. That's something that you do not get. Well, you do get it with the IFI. You just get a balanced 4.4. And this actually has the switch, which is variable and fixed, which you can, this is basically always variable, but you can just turn it up and then it's fixed. It just isn't as permanent and easy. Front, 4.4. quarter-inch. No, I'm sorry. 4-pin, not 4.4. I want to say there's no 4.4. I kind of wish it had a 4.4. I'm waiting for the standard of... Do I have anything? I don't have anything on the desk with it, because of course I don't. I'm waiting for the standard of 4.4 Pentacon to become synonymous enough that amplifiers like this don't even have to put a big old fucking honkin', 4-pin XLR on there. But there is benefits to this. Like when you plug it in and unplug it, you're not rubbing contacts against each other like a 4.4 would have. So you can't accidentally ground things out, plug it in halfway and have it like, oh shit, shorting out. So one of the benefits of this style connector is it goes in straight in and connects all four at the same time and disconnects all four at the same time. Whereas when you plug in a 1/4 inch or a 4.4 Pentacon, you're sort of rocking it past multiple points that are producing power. And if you don't get it in all the way, bad things can happen, but protection circuits are designed for that sort of shit. That's why I can plug this in. If you ever want to really make your amplifier mad, slowly unplug 1/4 inches and plug them in slowly. Though they don't like that at all. Let's get the remote. Wait, this is too weeby. This is too weeby for this. This is not weeby. This is the Westworld. This is myself from Westworld. So, we have to talk about the remote. Oh, I almost finished the tour. Headphone outs. There's a fucking MQA status LED, which if you're a true patriot of the audiophile world, that will never turn on because fuck MQA and their whole shit. There's also an MQA logo up here, so it actually says MQA twice in the front of this. Points deducted. You get the screen that says pre, because we're on the pre-out now for the speakers over there. We unmute this. There we go. Remember when Westworld was good? I remember when Westworld was good. So it says pre, or it has a picture of a headphone, which we can switch. It shows the 44.1, which is the current kilohertz of the input source. It says optical, and when you press this, you can then go coaxial or Bluetooth or USB or back to optical. The Bluetooth, by the way, is 5.0 or 5.1 and supports LDAC. So, I mean, this is looking quite up for that sort of use. It says mute because I have it muted. It says PCM because that's what we are. The knob will obviously unmute, but can't mute. You can just change to a source that's not being used. The problem, the big problem with this unit is that you need the remote for some of the features, for a lot of the features, for everything but basically turn on and off, change source, volume. Those are the three things you can do with the unit without the remote. If you lose the remote, that's the things you can do. You can turn it on, you can change which source you're playing, and you can change the volume. I have not figured out a way to switch between preamp and headphone out on the unit. You have to do that with the remote. In fact, I think all 6 of these buttons are actually active and do something now. In fact, is that one the only one that doesn't? This middle button is the only one that I think does not function, which is a rare case, because up and down is volume, mute works, power works, I'm not shutting it off. Left and right is your input. Then you have line out or headphone, and this is the first time I think that I've had a unit where you go headphone and it says out headphone, OH, and now we're outputting to the headphones. Or you hit line out and it says output 3, because there's also output 1 and output 2. Output 1 is RCA only. So if you have if you have a subwoofer hooked up to output 1, which would be the RCAs, and you have speakers hooked up to the output 2, which is XLRs, you could have just a subwoofer, just the speakers, or O3, which is both, which I don't currently have all 3 hooked up, or all 2 hooked up. But that's a nice feature. That's something like above the EX5. In fact, I don't even think you could switch the outputs on either one of those $700 units. So if you want to just have 2 amplifiers or 2 sets of speakers and you want to switch between RCA out and XLR out, you can do that, or play both. So you have an RCA sub and XLR speakers, and you don't want to have the sub on all the time, then you go boom, output 3, everything plays, sub comes on, you're good to go. So that's the first time I've seen that handy dandy little feature on certainly a topping product. Now I'm going to put this back on 2. I'm going to put it back on headphone, which it remembers the volume, and the volume is very, very loud. The remote's actually a pretty good speed, by the way, for lowering that. Then you have FIR, which stands for filter, which that's another thing. It's not that I don't believe in filters. I know they actually do something. It's just I can't audibly tell you It basically changes the way the end of the frequency response is, like 20,000 hertz and above, and how it filters that, which can also affect how it filters down the line. I don't know. Again, I'll ask, because it's been probably 3 months since I've asked this question. Can anyone switch filters on their DAC? Because it's always a DAC, that's a DAC setting. Can you fucking switch them and actually hear a difference? And how hard are you listening, and what headphones and what source and on what unit, and oh my God. So then you have M, which is your high-low gain switch for your headphones. I don't believe when we do line out there's a high-low gain. No. But for the headphone out, M is high-low gain. So it's high or low. High, low. And it's not a huge difference. We're going to check it with the Dunuzens, because I want to know if there's a noise floor difference. Because I was listening on, I forget which headphones it was. It might have been the Poseidons. And it was like, these are listenable at 50 on high. And then I switched it to low, and that exact same volume was 60. Oh, there's a cool thing I have to show you before well, let's finish this. Auto is to auto turn off if it doesn't have any signal source. I believe that's what it is. I don't think it's for the screen, because the screen is this one, dimmer, which is LA, L1, L2, L3, or LA, which that's an auto for the screen. And then 3 levels of brightness, which honestly, it's just a slight change in brightness. So it's not like super important. But I think auto C and auto O, I know that's done that on a topping unit before. What was it? Auto, I don't know. All right. Interesting little thing. Pausing the music. Has to pause the music, because we're going to take the volume knob. Actually, we're going to unplug this because we're not dumb. Zeos has made many dumb mistakes. In case we dumb it, this is the only unit I know of that doesn't go to 60, doesn't go to 80, doesn't go to 99. It goes to 100. Some of you OCD motherfuckers out there are having as good a time knowing that as I am. Because let's turn on this. Hold on. Where's my switch? Hi, how you doing? Everything needs to turn on now. Let's turn on this topping D30. And see, this goes to 0 decibels. I love the knobs on these, by the way. This one's noisy. It feels good. And this one is got the clicks too, but quieter. So this goes to 0 decibels. I think there was a way to change that. Turn that off. Thank you. But this goes to 100. I haven't had a fucking digital thing go to 100, because usually the screen is just 99. It's got 2 8-segment displays, and it can't handle 100. So that automatically adds the point back towards the way this is. Now, I better lower that before I plug things back in. It's pretty quick with the volume down. I mean, depends on how sensitive your shit is. So I'm going to put these back here. Let's plug in the AKGs for a second, because these are a little bit more grounded. $100 pair of headphones. Yeah. Yeah. Now I have to pick up the remote if I want to try high gain. Just have to pick up the remote. And for most headphones, I've just been keeping it on high gain, because I just turn it down 10, whatever your number is, turn it down 10. And there's literally no reason to use one or the other. I haven't been able to pick out, like, if one's got more gusto. A lot of times high gain will give more gusto, so it depends on the headphones you're trying to use. These are good headphones. These are fucking good headphones. 361s, $100. But now I've listened to these. Let's noise floor test while we're sitting here, because I guess you kind of should know how it sounds while I'm setting this up in my ear holes. I think it sounds good enough for me to go grab the JDS Labs Element 2 and the IFI Zendac and put them on the desk to talk about it joining the fold, because it doesn't sound boring or lackluster or meh like a lot of other Chinese black boxes. In fact, the topping A30 D30 Pro stack, and the A30 is one with the little holes in it, that was up in my office for the longest fucking time. I just had the A30 there, and I wasn't using it. I just needed it near me, because I love the way the little A30 Pro sounds. And this essentially sounds like they shoved an A30 Pro and a D30 Pro into the same box and went, here you go. It's an instant win. How could you not win? How did Topping not think to do that on their own? Why did Shenzhen have to partner with them and ask them to do it? Okay, so now we're at 1/4 inch. Am I in high or low gain? Oh God, I lost the remote. Found it. Well, that was high gain? Okay, hold on. Absolute silence. Now, it could be that there's no signal coming in and it cuts off the amplifiers. And I'd have to find I actually used to have wave tracks that were just 10 minutes of silence, which is great for fucking with people, because then you could play your music, put on 10 minutes of silence, move that 10 minutes of silence into a folder with like Slipknot in it, crank your volume up, leave the house. 9 minutes later, silence ends, Slipknot starts playing. I definitely didn't do that more than once to people. But then you can also get like hour-long blocks of silence, and those are even better. I hear a little pop when I switch between high and low. Absolutely silent. No output. So let's change this to the balance, which is a 2.5 millimeter, which I have on a mass drop adapter. Look, it just says mass drop. Back when, before drop wasn't cool and they were mass drop. Okay, if I put it on low, absolute black, like nothing. There's no absolute black. There's no sound. If I put it on high, there might be a sound, or my brain's playing tricks on me. I guess I should explain for those of you who are new here why the Dunu Zens are here. These are the stethoscope of IEMs. They're dynamic and they're so easy to drive that I've literally, the $2,000 what's the purple one that everyone loves? Class A. Oh God, I've been here too long. I've been here too long. I'm literally not gonna remember the name of the fucking amp. It's upstairs waiting for Joe to take it back. Joe, what's your amp's name? I compared the Singer against it. Well, whatever, like the $2,000 Class A, everyone loves it, sounded like it was fucking raining when I just did that test. When I had it all plugged in, DAC, pause the music, turn the volume knob up. It was like, shh. It was actually very relaxing. It was just dangerous because if it ever did play sound, it would just immediately blow the drivers in that and your hearing. But it was like it was a unique way to hear just electrical fuckery. And this is dark. This has no sound at all. Like the Singer has almost no sound at all. Topping A90, no sound at all. There's no signal leak. It has nothing. So, and that's the first time I tested was just now. And I'm pretty impressed by that. Because a lot of times amplifiers, you plug them in and you turn it up and it's like, you hear whatever little fuckery's in there. But this is doing a tremendous job of just being darkness. So I guess now we talk about how it sounds more. Because, I mean, I'm here to give you like the overarching, like, why am I buying this? You're buying this because you want something a little more big boy than the EX5 Zendak. That's a little more convenient to plug into, that maybe has Bluetooth, that maybe has fiber optic, that maybe has coaxial digital, that maybe has a remote control, that, you know, it's got all these extra features. And I would almost tell you, like, again, JDS Labs, Element 2 doesn't have the remote control, doesn't have balanced, although a little fairy told me that might be coming at some point. Shh. This is a beautiful, beautiful unit, and it's half the cost of the next unit, which that IFI actually did have a remote control. I don't know if the Art Quilla had a remote control. I'll have to watch my review. But those two are like, okay, I want a quality DAC and amplifier and remote, and I want Bluetooth, and that's where you were looking. And now you can cut your budget in half and look right here. Let's plug these onto my head because these are the controversial headphone because build quality. That isn't like relays clicking by, that's just these switches, just amazing. This is Johnny Mathis. My mother said she loved Johnny Mathis. I didn't know. My mother is like, I guess I should give you like a background on my mother and her music tastes. I didn't know my mother listened to music ever until I was like in my 20s. And then she was like, oh yeah, I like the Eagles and Johnny Mathis. And that's all I still know that she likes. So of course I have some Eagles and some Johnny Mathis in my playlist because you download the music your mom likes in case your mom visits and you're like, hey mom, listen to this. See, I lowered it. So this would be... I don't think I would waste this in a living room. Because, I mean, speakers like this with remote control, perfect if you're doing like, I have a desk, Zeos, and I like to sit in my bed and watch movies, and I want to be able to control the volume on some powered speakers, and then when I get to my desk, I want to be able to listen to headphones. Perfect. It's perfect. It's fucking perfect. Even my desk upstairs, my Motu M2, which, you know, is a microphone preamp, but you know, I love the way it sounds. It's 1/4-inch output and it's got balanced output. There's no remote. It's only USB in, and you got to run drivers. This is a very, very nice thing to exist. And it's sat on my table there next to like other things I have to review. And they're all separates again. They're just DACs and amps, and DACs and amps, DACs and amps, and $300 plus $500, and $100 plus $200. $350, buy it, done. You're fucking done. It can't be simpler than that. It's just black box, full size power, no stupid. I pulled out the IFI there, and it's got the transformer attached to it, like plugged in and hanging on the floor, because I can't lose that transformer. I cannot lose that transformer. But you know, the Aquila and this, they just plug in with a big old fucking power plug. This is USB powered, and that's the only way you can plug source into it, so that makes sense. This has got a massive power supply that you gotta like not lose. So it's wonderfully convenient, and it actually, like, I didn't have no problem with the way this sounds for $350. It's not super linear bias. Like, it's not as linear as the A90, which is good, and it kind of just reminds me purely of the Topping A30 Pro. If they put the Topping A30 Pro in a box and they shoved a DAC underneath it, and the DAC just has to be good enough, this is a perfect unit. That's why the wallpaper is great. That's why I brought out all these other fucking things to talk about. It's like, this is now part of of course I recommend this, because you have this budget and you don't need like going with separates. Let me explain again why most things are a DAC and then an amp separately, so that you can swap one or two of them out. A lot of people will get the stack, like Shelly has the Erish or the JNOG or the J2 and the Erish 2, and you could throw one away or get another one or upgrade, because usually you would upgrade the amp and leave the DAC solid. But sometimes it's just like, just give me the one fucking unit. I don't need that complication. I don't need just the fact that you don't have to put like RCAs that little just jump around the back, or XLRs jump around the back. Might be the selling point for this, because you can just unplug everything and just have 2 wires in and 1 headphone wire out, and you're happy. This will deliver happiness with less clutter and less cost and less Johnny Mathis. Oh, Lo Yan. God, I forgot. I haven't used these in a bit, and I stand by my review of these fucking Gold Planar GL 2000s. If you can get a set that sounds like mine, which people have gotten. It's not like every set was bad after Zeos reviewed it. No, it's luck of the draw. There's like I think there's like, we tried to do the number calculations. I think there was like 20% that got a headphone that was just slightly off. In fact, I have one upstairs that's just slightly off. And it's not like terrible, it's just not this. And whatever fucking problems they have, if you had an 80% chance of getting a good one, it's worth the chance. It's worth the risk. I'm going to shut this off. Thank you, Shenzhen Audio, for sending this out. I will link. You can only get it there, so a good fucking luck. I kind of think this feels like something that Drop would throw up, but I think Shenzhen wants to bring people to their site. So like they obviously are Chinese and Topping is Chinese. And they're like, you build this for us and we will sell it. No one else will sell it. So that's a kind of unfortunate thing for the whole world, but fortunate for them that they actually put out a decent product and I can give it an actual positive review. Otherwise I would shit all over it. Shit all over it. Links to this in the description. I'll link everything else I talked about, which is going to suck for the future Zeos. I'm sorry, future Zeos. But they'll be like this, and then all of the DAC amp combos. And like, I didn't mention the FIO K3, which is like $100, because why would you get the FIO K3 when you can get the FIO BTR5? And it's just USB. I mean, it doesn't have bass boost, but then the THX Onyx is $200. No, that doesn't count. Those are dongle DACs. They're USB. No. Just desktop designed DAC amps linked in the description. Wallpaper is also linked in the description. As is always, the wallpaper is linked in the description. Patreon and subscribe star. Help support this channel and my future madness. And by madness, I mean probably dementia. So I'm going to hire a full-time nurse starting right now so that she can keep me in line. And I can go, hello, nurse. And that'll be great. Yeah, Patreon subscribe star, $5 a month lets you see reviews early, participate in yard sales, and access the Sound Demo Oasis. If I have to describe what the Sound Demo Oasis is, then you're not ready for it. $10 a month puts you in the behind-the-scenes private Telegram chat and lets you access the private swap meet where people can trade gear. Well, supporters who have been in that level can trade gear for a lifetime. The $10 chat refreshes. And eventually, if you stay a patron long enough, you get into a lifetime achievement chat, which I never actually announced. It's just sort of like, you realize you've given me so much money that you're like, holy fuck, how did I end up here? And you're like, holy fuck, that's sucks, but it's an amazing place. So there you go. It's much quieter, much more serene. You have earned your right to be there. Hi-Fi Guides in the Hi-Fi Guide forum. I want to thank Purina Cat Chow and Gatorade. I know, actually, nothing to do with me. Hi, Chewbacca picture over there. And thank you to Anime for keeping me sane through all of quarantine. Me and my cat and Anime. And now it's just me and my Anime. And eventually Anime will just be banned. Then it'll just be me. And that'll be the saddest day ever. Please stop the banning of Anime. I don't think that's an actual thing. Don't freak out. But I am watching JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. So once I finish that, once I catch up to that, Anime is basically dead to me. Yeah, links to this and everything else. And I will see you in the next one in 2 days. And I'm going to wave my hand like this. And then it'll disappear behind my head to put the button on top of the GoPro and look, ooh.